Okay, panel. Who shows up not to his own last presidential campaign rally? Who failed to show up for their own presidential campaign rally?
I think I want to say two things. One, it's very possible that something could have happened to him, something came up in his life, and it's just bad communication by his
team wasn't aware, by the way.
Exactly. And so it's either bad communication between him and his team, but it's their job to have a reason. Like they should be telling us that actually something came up, not he didn't show and we don't know where he is. So what kind of team will he have if he ever ascends to the seat, however unlikely it may be? The thing I do want to say is that the person who has run away with the hearts of Kenyans is Eliud Muthiora Kariara. He's the one who got away. You know,
right.
We'll vote practically, but then this guy, man, he's the one who will be like, I wish we had a second date with this guy. I think he's an incredible human being. I think he shows deep respect for the people of Kenya. I think while maybe some of the things he may say may not necessarily be completely seasoned in as far as the way we understand our politics and the way we understand our issues, his intentions have always been so respectful,
yes.
And the ways in which he engages so directly and so tangibly with the people are so admirable. I think he's
we were sitting with you the running mates debate, and he showed up. And he really did bring it in that debate. So here he is again.
Absolutely. I mean, every time he shows up, he makes me even more proud. I believe when I see him, I see the future of Kenya. I believe that he's the kind of leaders that we would want. I don't think this is going to be the end for him. I think we're going to see more of him. And I encourage him to do that. I get excited by seeing that for me.
Why isn't this guy running for president?
I'm just asking myself the same question because it is quite evident that this is not a person that this country can depend on. So,
meaning Japheth Kavinga?
Yes, we cannot depend on him. I mean the doctor himself.
Yes.
Yeah, he needs to. I mean, he needs to shape up. Because I don't see how that can happen. This is a presidential debate, and then he goes missing. So I don't think he's up to the task.
You know the interesting thing, Dr. Njoya, is he actually sent out a text message today to all the media houses, to the editors saying, I will be making my final pitch today in Kaungware, please provide coverage. And we were like, okay, we will cover that. Because we often get criticized of focusing on this two-horse narrative. And then he wasn't there.
I think it's disrespectful to the Kenya electorate not to show up, especially because my taxes are paying for his name to appear on the ballot.
Yes,
so,
and his security. And
his security. So, you know, the least he should do is to show up out of respect for the Kenyan people. But, you know, you never know what happened. Maybe he just couldn't make it, but the polite thing to do is to send a text and say, I cannot come because of this and this reason. But to not show up, that's not fair to the Kenyan people. He should have been there.
Let's talk about something that has been contentious in this election. Will the election be free and fair? Everybody wants it to be free, fair, and credible. But who gets to determine if the election is free, fair, and credible? Because the politicians, at least the Jubilee and NASA sides, seem to disagree on whether or how to know if this election will be free, fair, and credible.
I think the relevant body, the question is, has the relevant body, IEC, done what it's supposed to do?
Or to put it differently, Dr. Ndiba, is it if the IEBC says we believe this was free and fair, but Jubilee disagrees, who do we believe?
IEBC is more credible. We should believe in IEBC. And I want to believe that IEBC is working hand in hand with the two parties.
Who gets to determine whether the election is free and fair?
I mean, if we're a nation that believes in rule of law, then we need to accept what our constitution says. And our constitution positions the IEBC as the independent electoral body that makes its decisions. If they make a decision, that it is the decision that we are supposed to believe. If there is proof, tangible proof, that they're not making decisions that Kenyans consider credible, then we can go in that general direction. The thing that is worrying me is the idea that if we don't win, then the election was not free and fair. And that's a kind of shadow that you're hearing.
NASA is getting criticized for almost suggesting that if we don't win, the election is not free and fair.
Let's be fair. Both sides are getting criticized for the same thing. The judiciary came out and made a statement saying, listen, our job is to be independent, and everybody's threatening this independence in various ways. And they pointed out, and I thought it was wise that they did so, they pointed out ways in which both the two horses, now that we're using a horse narrative, have been threatening to them, and the idea of of what independence is. And so maybe the thing we need to ask ourselves is, do we believe in rule of law enough to trust the independence of the Electoral Commission?
Dr. Njaya.
But I think free and fair is decided by we the people, but through the Constitution.
Not the IBC?
Through the Constitution, which the IEBC is supposed to honor. And so far, there have been hiccups here and there, and people have had to take the IEBC to court and challenge some of its decisions. I think that was a bad sign that, that people will not trust. But for me, I've been saying that the problem is not the last 2 months with the IEBC. It has been the last 3 or 4 years. We haven't had any trust in a lot of government funded institutions, and so I think IBC is falling into the same trap as all these other institutions, and we don't trust anything that the government does because we see corruption. So people are naturally skeptical, and so I hope that whatever IBC does, that it will follow the Constitution and be seen to follow the Constitution, because ultimately it's us who are going to decide what is free and fair. Unfortunately, it will be influenced by the political parties, but I think it's we, the people, who need to see the election as free and fair, and I hope we will.
But what if the people are so divided as a result of the political rhetoric that one side winning, the other might see it as not free and fair because the other side won?
I think that tells us that we are at a place in our country that is very, it's very touch and go. We can't really make a call at this point in time. I think it would be safer and easier if we were in a situation like where Rwanda were, where it was a landslide and everybody was just aware that this guy was
98.6% win for President Kagame.
Like nobody's going to come and contest that victory. But if you're in a place where it's 44, 43, 47, when we're gunning for 50+1, 50+1 means that 49% of the people don't agree with you.
Yes.
And that's also a tenuous place to be.
Okay.
And so we need to talk about what happens then. What ways in which, for instance, if one side gets 50+1 and the other side gets 49, what ways can the 50+1 respect the intentions of the 49%, because they're still a sizable electorate?
Okay.
There has been a pattern of discrediting IEBC. It happened. Now we've started criticizing these IEBC. So at what point do we give IEBC the independence? We have to believe in institutions that are set and put in place. Otherwise, we'll keep on, moving round and round and round.
But tell me which institutions are working. And this is the distrust, the general atmosphere of distrust that we've been dealing with for the last number of years. And let's be honest, 2007 ghosts are rising in this case. So people are very nervous because of the historical patterns that we have been having. And so, at the end of the day, it's us to decide. But I think we also need to decide how we are going to protest if we do not consider the elections free and fairly done.
Because
and
protest, mass action is code for violence, which is why mass action gets a bad rap in this country.
But it shouldn't be.
Yeah, it shouldn't be, and
no.
I think we can do it without the politicians. You see, before it was the politicians who are calling the mass action. I think we can do it as the way the Egyptians did. We just do it ourselves without the politicians there. We need to start having our own political action without getting our cues from politicians.
Nerima, the interesting thing is people say, and the IBC leadership has been saying, especially over the last few weeks, that you're judging us very harshly. This is not the old commission. It's been changed around. And you seem to be applying the same distrust for the last commission on this one, and they think that's unfair.
Yeah, they do think that it's unfair. I mean, they got in there in January. It's been a few months, and for the few months that they've been there, they have made major strides. At the same time, they've also been a few fallbacks, and we can't also forget the case of Msando that has just recently happened. That shook the country as well.
Right.
It's very sad for the family, and also we're in a very tense time in our country at the moment.
Okay.
Like Dr. Njokia said, the election is very close, so every vote will literally count, because that's going to make the difference of who is going to win this election.
Right.
I think the IEBC also need to recognize that we are a country that comes with baggage, that they took on their jobs knowing that we have baggage, and so they can't come and then say, you guys have baggage. We do. Deal with it. Deal with our baggage. It's your job.
And find a way to communicate in a way that is respectful and takes into account that baggage. I remember a few weeks ago, there was a tweet they wrote about our clients, you know, and people got upset because there seems to be no recognition that this is important for Kenyans. They feel that they're just doing their job. But no, this is not just doing your job. It's about the lives of this nation. And so I think there needs to be more not respect, more, what is the word? Okay, just more respect and awe for the responsibility they have been given, so that they take into account the emotions and the responsibility that is riding on their shoulders.
I totally agree with what Wandia is saying, hence the call for patience, because there is no silver bullet. This is a very delicate time for this country.